What if everything you've ever seen on a world map ends too soon? For centuries, Antarctica has been described as the last frontier on Earth, a frozen continent buried beneath kilometers of ice, a place so hostile that even today only a handful of people ever set foot there. But what if that isn't the whole story? What if, beyond the endless glaciers and the violent polar storms, there was something no satellite image, no expedition, and no official map has ever shown? A place hidden behind what many people simply call the ice wall. It sounds like the beginning of a fantasy. And according to mainstream science, that's exactly what it is. Yet, despite that, millions of people continue searching for it. They analyze satellite images frame by frame, they study forgotten maps, read centuries-old journals, and connect scattered pieces of history, convinced that somewhere inside those fragments lies a truth the modern world has overlooked. So where did this story actually begin? Was there ever an explorer who claimed to cross an enormous wall of ice? Or has one legend simply grown larger every time it was retold? The answer is far more complicated than most people realize, because this isn't just the story of Antarctica. It's the story of how mysteries are born, how they survive, and why some refuse to disappear, even when the evidence seems to point the other way. To understand that, we have to travel back to a time when huge parts of our planet were still completely unknown. Long before satellites mapped every coastline, before aircraft crossed the poles, before Antarctica became one of the most studied places on Earth, the southern edge of the world existed mostly in imagination. Ancient cartographers often left enormous blank spaces across their maps. Some filled them with mysterious continents. Others imagined.
Every great mystery begins with a story. But the most fascinating stories are the ones that can't be traced back to a single source. The legend of the ice wall is exactly that. Unlike famous expeditions that left behind detailed journals, verified maps, and official records, this story exists in fragments. A sentence buried inside an old book, a forgotten illustration on an antique map, a decades-old rumor repeated by another writer, an unexplained photograph, a story told so many times that eventually nobody remembers where it truly began. And that's exactly what makes it so powerful. As Antarctica slowly revealed its secrets throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, explorers mapped coastlines, crossed glaciers, and reached places no human had ever seen before. With every expedition, the unknown became smaller. The blank spaces disappeared. The maps became more complete. Yet strangely, the mystery didn't disappear with them. Instead, it evolved. People no longer searched for monsters at the edge of the Earth. They searched for hidden places, hidden civilizations, hidden knowledge. Some believed an enormous wall of ice surrounded the known world. Others claimed that beyond it existed valleys untouched by modern civilization. Some even suggested that early explorers had crossed it before their discoveries were quietly forgotten. But here's an explorer who crossed an enormous ice wall. No universally accepted journal, no authenticated map, no official report confirming such a journey. Instead, the legend appeared to be woven together from dozens of separate threads: old exploration stories, misinterpreted historical accounts, ancient maps filled with speculation, modern internet discussions, and countless retellings that gradually blurred the line between fact and fiction. Normally, that should have ended the mystery. Instead, it made the mystery even stronger, because once a story loses its original source, it becomes almost impossible to prove or completely disprove. People stopped asking whether the story was true. They began asking a different question. What if the original evidence had simply been lost? After all, history is filled with missing journals, destroyed records, forgotten expeditions, and discoveries that were dismissed long before they were understood. Could this be another one? Or were people simply connecting unrelated pieces until they formed the perfect mystery? That's when we decided to trace the legend.
After weeks of examining historical archives, expedition records, and early maps of Antarctica, one conclusion became clear. The ice wall, as it is described today, has never been verified by credible historical evidence. Yet that doesn't make the story meaningless. In fact, it may explain why the legend has survived for so long. History has always left room for imagination. Every unexplored coastline, every unfinished map, every missing journal, every unanswered question, they all create space for stories to grow. Some disappear with time, others become legends, and a very small number become impossible to forget. The ice wall belongs to that last category, not because we know it's real, and not because we know it's false, but because it represents something much older than Antarctica itself: human curiosity. The desire to believe that somewhere beyond the horizon, there is still one last mystery waiting to be discovered. Perhaps there is no hidden world beyond the Antarctic ice. Perhaps there never was. Or perhaps the greatest mystery was never what existed beyond the ice wall, but why millions of people still hope that something does. Because sometimes, the most powerful mysteries aren't the ones we solve. They're the ones that keep us searching. And maybe that's exactly why the legend of the ice wall refuses to disappear. The evidence may end here, but the questions are only beginning.